Hey everybody, what's happening? This is Mal Foster here with Cinema Loco Movie Reviews, and yes, you guessed it, I have another movie to review for you. The movie in question is The Deep, which, if you didn't know, was Iceland's entry into last year's Best Foreign Language category at the Oscars. It gets a wider release across the world in a couple of weeks. I had the chance to see it recently, and so I thought, hey, I'll talk to you guys all about it. The Deep is the latest film from director Baltasar Kormákur. I do hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly. Probably not, but I at least tried. And it surrounds real events that happened in Iceland during the mid-80s, in which a fishing trawler going out to do its usual business is capsized, leaving all of its crew except one man by the name of Gulli dead in the freezing ocean. Gulli is left on his own to survive against the elements, and that is where The Deep takes us. Whenever a one-man survival situation film like this occurs, it always has the tendency to be somewhat of a double-edged sword, because on one hand, you could have a really great performance in which the whole film kind of hinges on and inspires the rest of the film and circulates around. On the other hand, if you are left with sort of bare surroundings and not much imagination, you could have something which could potentially be really boring. The film is split essentially into three sections. The introduction to the crew, the boat, the place, the settings, the surroundings, and that all takes kind of casual pace within the first 20 minutes. And then, of course, shit happens, the storm comes, the boat capsizes, and everybody except Gully is left. And then you have the whole aspect of man versus nature, which has been done before, and I'll be honest, has been done better. There are moments and artistic choices within The Deep which are really kind of interesting, the colour palette being one, the fact that they use mainly dark, dingy, murky colours, really dark, bruising blue colours, dark blacks and greys, and the whole film just kind of feels like it's been washed over in ink, and you get these long, stretched out shots in which you see Gully basically as a lone entity in the ocean, and close shots where you see him kind of battling against the elements. And there's little moments in this section which really kind of enhance and kind of probe into the deep, as it were. But there really isn't that much to go on except conversations with seagulls, some Super 8 flashbacks, and some sort of external monologue. And other than that, there really isn't that much going on. They don't really make that much use of the situation, and to be honest, they don't keep that situation going for very long, because that section is, as I said, part two of a three-act story. The third act being Gully survives against the elements, makes it back somehow miraculously, yet he is then left to face with the aftermath, both losing his friends, being the only person to survive this horrendous thing, not being believed by people, being kind of seen as this bizarre celebrity, this kind of mysterious sort of central figure around this miracle, speculation. There's all sorts going on, except it doesn't, very much like the rest of the film, it kind of offers bite-sized chunks of this, and it doesn't really probe into it. There is so much that could have been extracted more from this film had it actually gone, ironically, a little bit deeper into each of the sort of thematic ideas that are placed in each of the different acts. And because of this, it kind of feels really sort of thinly veiled. It kind of feels like you're presented with an idea and nothing much more than that. And unfortunately, that's where the film kind of falls down a little bit. It's an interesting watch. It's not the worst situation / one-man survival film I've seen, but then again, it doesn't really do much to kind of differentiate itself from generic tropes within this sort of subgenre. It kind of feels mediocre at best. And that's a real shame, because there is plenty of extraction for character development and sort of philosophical kind of pondering and sort of extraction of different ideas and the expansion of motifs, but it just kind of feels really content to just kind of present the bare minimum with a little bit of kind of garnish on top and just present it like, there you go, that's it. And you kind of feel like, well, I wanted more. I wanted to kind of drill much deeper beneath the surface, because you have this amazing, miraculous event, and yet it's kind of just presented there and not really tackled much further. As I said, aesthetically the film is captured really nicely, and it kind of has this real sort of intent artistry to the way it's presented, but, you know, surface is only counts for so much, essentially. And when you have something which could provide you with so much more substance rather than just visual style, it's a shame, and it kind of feels like a little bit of a waste. I'm going to give it a 5.5 because it's not a bad film, but it's not a particularly good film. It's reasonably enjoyable, but it could have done so much more and been so much better.